Phoenix International Raceway, otherwise known as the Jewel in the Desert. This track can be found 2 times on the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series calendar, and it provides door-banging short track action right here on the sim as well. We all know that iRacing is ever-changing, and today it changed again. The 2016 Season 1 calendar draws to a close, and as Week 13 begins, comes the new build with some pretty big changes that some drivers are going to have to be dealing with here tonight. We go racing from PIR for the first time on this new build for the best of the best. At iRacing's Class B Oval Championship, take to the track for 100 laps of action. Welcome to NASCAR Race Night, presented by Fans Choice TV, live on RaceSpotTV and streaming live on iRacingLive. All the action begins next. Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to RaceSpotTV's coverage of iRacing's NASCAR Race Night, presented by Fans Choice TV, live this evening from the Phoenix International Raceway. Evan Pasoko and Andy Kessler, happy to be here with you, as always, joined by Hugo Louise in the director's seat for the NASCAR iRacing Class B Series Phoenix 100. We're set to roll from Phoenix, and we get set for some good action here this afternoon. 100 laps on tap, qualifying already to the books, so let's get tonight's action right underway. We take a look trackside, Andy, at tonight's starting lineup, and we see John Walker pole position for the number 8 Chevrolet, a 27070. He'll best the field tonight, bring us to the green flag, alongside Trent Ringler in the number 2 spot. Tony Manji will start from P3, along with John Olette in 4th, and Michael Vandersall in P5.
Randall Fox will start in the 6th position, with Alex Scribner starting 7th. 8th will be Jeff Backey Jr., and Malcolm Coleman will start 9th. And rounding out the top 10, that's Elmiro Vieira.
Jake Hayes going to roll tonight from P11. He was the best driver in practice. John Micah in the number 12 spot. 13th, Chris Fletcher. Brandon Bowie at 14th. Adam Hurley, P15. 16th position, Sean Ryan. Ray Doran, 17th. Alex Bergeron in 18th position. 19th for Brandon Holder. And Justin Faulkner will round out your top 20.
21st on the grid will be Brad Prachnow. Chris Jennings will start 22nd. 23rd goes to Rosemary Townsend. Patrick Rizzo Jr. will start 24th, the last car to take a time in qualifying. Ryan Neffinger and Louis Fenhaus. Timmy Longwood Jr., Keith Vaughn, Jay Collins, and Rich Schwitt will start 30th on this 30-car field.
It is top split action for the iRacing NASCAR Class B Oval Series from Phoenix International Raceway. And as we mentioned, for a lot of these guys, they came home, hopped on the sim, and they had a brand new build to come home to. Well, it's time to put that to work. We want to welcome you to our first of our 2016 NASCAR race nights right here on RaceSpotTV. Phoenix sure to provide exciting racing, and we hope to see that here this evening, and we're happy to have you with us. The pace car is down, and John Walker is gone. Green flag is underway from Phoenix International Raceway, and the number 8, no problem with the battle for second already. Trent Ringler slides to the inside. He'll cut over the nose of the number 11 Toyota of Tony Manji to take over the number 2 spot, and you see it right here. First time these guys down the back straightaway, Andy, already using up a lot of that flat dog leg down the back.
Yeah, you're going to see guys do that all night long, trying to get that advantage. The problem is you're going to have to be careful coming back up the racetrack, because that's when it gets real tight heading back into turn number 3. So it's going to get real tight down there all night. We'll have to keep an eye on that as these guys do that. But you're going to see that 3-4 wide even sometimes going down through that dog leg there in the back straightaway.
Looks like 28 drivers going to take the green flag here this evening. Chris Jennings, Jay Collins did not make a start. They are in the sim and looking to see if they can get on the grid. One of the few series active tonight through week 13, and these guys are happy to be putting on a show. John Walker out in front of the field. He's pretty comfortable at about 3 car lengths to the front. Ringler and Manji were P2 and P3 by the time they came out of corner number 1, and that's exactly how they run. They're trying to single file things out up front. They're doing a pretty good job of pacing themselves. Top 10 single file. First fight on track, back by the number 23, Chris Fletcher, his Ford Mustang. On the outside of the racetrack, he's got a challenge to the bottom by the 14, Brandon Holder. Going to make it side by side in that very wide and flat. Turn number 4, gets to the inside and off of corner number 2. Give him the spot. So move Holder up 1, and you see the 18 of John Micah. He pounces on that opportunity. He'll take a spot as well on the inside. Drop Fletcher back 2.
And now you can see that 23 of Fletcher, though, trying to crossover move in turns number 3 and 4. He will get back to that inside lane. The 18's going to overpower him on the outside. He'll maintain that position now, and they'll run single file back into turn number 1. Almost make some contact right there. You see Fletcher push up the racetrack. He's going to lose 2-3 spots now as they head down the back straightaway.
So he lost 2. He wanted to make up for that. Took a gamble to get a spot back, and now he loses 3 more. The 3, the 27, the 19 all make that move down in turns 1 and 2. A very flat racetrack here at Phoenix International Raceway. Turns 1 and 2, you got the most of banking at 10 to 11 degrees, but still very easy to overshoot your entry. That's what that 23 did, and at that point, you just can't get back to the gas at all. He lost tons of time, and even the 4 of Brandon DeBowie starting to team up on him as well. That Toyota Camry to the outside of the racetrack, making a move in turn number 3. A lot of these guys have said with one of the new things in this brand new build, the tires make the inside the place to be. Well, the 4 top side will take another spot away, and Fletcher has now fallen from 13th to 18th.
Yeah, Fletcher might have heated up the tires a little too much right there. He's definitely fallen off the pace here as Brandon Bowie is able to pull away now, and Fletcher continues to lose a lot of time right now. Might be trying to just settle in, maybe get used to this new build. But so far, he's been the first one I've seen have the most trouble out of anybody.
Looks like Timmy Longwood Jr. stuck down on the pit lane. The number 22 machine in his stall is getting service. It'll kick him 1 lap down. Still 27 drivers on the lead lap, but the top 10 still single file for the time being, but they're not spread all that far apart, and the battle for the race lead is starting to come into focus. Look at the number 11 of Tony Manji from P3 to P2 now, and all over the back of the number 8 Chevrolet in front of the field. John Walker's got a mirror full of Tony Manji in the number 11 machine. A very popular driver on the short tracks of iRacing, but he knows what to do when it comes to these B-Class cars. Made quick work of Trent Ringler, and Ringler now falling back to the number 3 spot, but the 11's there. He's just looking for an opportunity.
Yeah, he is looking for the opportunity, and this is such a tough track to pass at, really. It's one of those places that kind of reminds you of, like, say, a Martinsville or whatever. If you can guard that bottom like the 8 of John Walker's doing right now, it just makes it real tough for the 11 to pass. And Tony Manji, he's just waiting basically for an opportunity to maybe get a run off the corner or wait for a mistake possibly by John Walker up there in the lead.
You saw the 11, he was really digging. Again, the old Phoenix International Raceway on the sim had a lot of grass down the back. This is one of the newer NASCAR ovals. It's pretty much commonplace now, but you have that wide open dogleg. These drivers aren't running the restricted one. The 11 forces inside, and now caution will fly. John Walker, the number 8 Chevy, he bobbled in turn number 2, and you could already see that 11 and Tony Baggi getting ready to dock way down the back straightaway, and caution comes out just as they get side by side, and to little surprise, it's the number 23 of Chris Fletcher. We saw his Ford Mustang struggling a lot. We take a second look at the RaceSpotTV replay right now, and he lost it way back when he was in the number 18 spot. He had a rough start to his race. This isn't going to make things go any better.
No, it's definitely not. It looked like he had to maybe force the issue there on the bottom lane and really had to turn that car left to avoid the outside car, and it looked like it was the 27, Justin Faulkner, on the outside. He just had to overturn it there on the left to keep it off off that car on the outside of him. So with that product of putting a little more too much gas into it as well, just flat out lost it there off the corner.
To the field and get to catch the American Childhood Cancer Organization Ford Mustang GT pace car for the first time. The field comes down to the pit lane. Service is open, and it looks like all the drivers on the lead lap coming down. The number 8 machine, race leader, control car down to the pit lane. John Walker going to have the obvious advantage down to the number 1 pit stall, all the way down at the end of the pit lane, as the couple, I'd say top 10 drivers going to be located in the pit stalls that are actually on the inside of turns 1 and 2.
That's a tough place to pit because you're coming around that corner and you're really almost blind to your stall. So it makes it real tough on these drivers, and a lot of them could actually lose some time there on pit road doing that because they're just trying to find that right spot and get a good turn in and be able to get a good launch off the pit road. And that's a pretty good battle right there to exit pit road. They're all scrambling for a spot.
And Walker actually messed up into that number 1 pit stall. Again, it has the advantage because you're right at the scoring line. You could put the pedal down and just get there and edge somebody out. You might only be doing 25 miles an hour, and they might pass you after the line. But the number 1 pit stall is so very important. A small mistake overshot it on the entry, and the number 11 Tony Baggi going to go to the race lead in this one. That number 11 Toyota Camry taking 4 tires as well, so nobody quite at this juncture in the race wanted to take a big enough of a gamble to go with 2 tires or go with no tires, but 4 tires and a smooth and clean stop for the driver who was back at pit stall number 3 is going to put the number 11 machine to the point. Obviously, one of the favorites if you look at the field here tonight, and he's now out in front, and he'll take the restart, and we'll start to tiptoe our way with inside of 85 laps to go. There is still plenty of time. He's going to want to take advantage of that clean air up front, though, and just try to pull away with this one, and hopefully these guys try to work their way onto a green flag run.
Yeah, and as fast as that 11 was, or he was showing, trying to get around the 8 there on that last run, I really think that this spot here for him up in the top spot, I think this is a real good job by him getting into pit road and getting off pit road pretty quick there. He gets that top spot, and now he can control the restart and look for that 11 really to pull out probably to a pretty sizable lead right off the drop of the green flag. So that's definitely a good job by him getting on and off pit road real clean and real smooth, and gives him the obvious advantage here on the restart.
I did note that Timmy Longwood Jr. came down to the pit lane. His number 22 Chevy is 3 laps down. He was 4. He'll stay out and refrain from taking services under this yellow, and we saw him get waved by the pace car, so he'll wind up the back of the field. 3 laps down, 27 lead lap drivers take the one to go. It's going to be Tony Baggi, John Walker, Trent Ringler, Mike Vandelsall, and Alex Scribner. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 as we do get set to go back green. We'll put 15 laps into the books.
Yeah, like I said, this should be a good restart here, and I think a good call by all these drivers to take the 4 tires this early in the run, because with the new build, I'm really not sure what these tires or how these tires are going to react, seeing this is the first day. So a lot of these drivers are out to learn something here tonight too.
Second time, pace car down and away, no hesitation from the 11. Green flag back in the air at Phoenix. and Tony Monge is gone to turn number 1. And on the outside, John Walker slides into second, and even the tube machine of Michael Vandersal tries to get to the bottom. He won't be able to do it. Ringler not the jump that he wanted, and he'll slow down the back, and he'll give it away. So from P3 to back to P4 goes the 7. Top 4 single filed out, and it's the number 16 of John Olette side by side with the number 10 of Scribner off the board.
Yeah, and you can see that outside line actually giving some sort of an advantage, especially off of turn number 4. It seems that with the slight amount of banking that they're able to keep some sort of momentum up, and it's still working right now for that 16 of John Ouellette because he's able to keep that slight advantage he has over Alex Scribner right there, and still can't quite get him clear as they go back through 3 and 4 now. Now he can finally clear him out, no single of 5.
The 16 machine wins that battle. Second time we've seen somebody on the outside get the upper hand. Scribner not going to give up. He'll stay on the back bumper, but nothing enough really to put up a fight into the quarter. And well, they get things sorted out behind them. Action continues. Bottom lane for Brandon Holder. Started 19th, trying to get to a top 10 spot, and he almost overdrove it into 3. The 21 of Omaro Vieira slides high down into the corner to give room. It's going to cost him a couple of car lengths and caution behind. Problems down the front, straight away into the inside wall. Couple of cars around the number 12 machine of Michael Coleman involved, Malcolm Coleman rather, and the number 27 of Justin Faulkner involved in this accident off the corner. We'll take a second look in a moment. It looks like the 27 just got a little bit sideways coming off the quarter, Andy. Those left side tires down below the yellow line, that's not going to be uncommon, but off of turn 4, it gets very flat there very quickly. He got upset, the 12 machine right on the bumper, really didn't have enough time to check up, but once Coleman got into the back end, they both went around.
Hey, you're absolutely right. That was exactly what it was, getting on the apron like that, and it just causes that car to get a little bit loose. And once he did, like you called it right on the restart with how close these cars were all together, 12 just had nowhere to go on that and ends up getting right into him and collected another car, too, up on the outside wall. It looked like the 26, Rosemary Townsend, also involved in that one. So tough break for those guys right there, but exactly what it is. Getting on the apron at Phoenix, it'll do that to you, especially in all the corners, actually, because that, like you talked about, that bottom lane gets real flat.
So they get turned back around. They're obviously going to be coming down pit road to get some damage repairs. Malcolm Coleman, I mentioned, the driver that got into the back of the car in front of him. He's torn up. He comes down to the pit lane before the pit lane does open. He doesn't really care about that, though, because he's got a lot of damage to get fixed. So regardless, he'll end up with an EOL penalty to the back. Race leaders, though, this time through, not all in agreement to come down to the pit lane. I think the highest driver down is Jake Hayes in the number 1 machine. Coming in from the number 9 position, top 8 drivers stay out. This could be a good opportunity for somebody to make a strategy call that could fly under the radar later in this race. John Walker comes in. Remember your pole sitter from earlier on dropped back and was running in the number 2 position. He did come down to the pit lane. He took 4 tires. If anything, I was expecting this to be the swing of service where you would see somebody maybe try a 2-tire call. However, just like last time, those that came in, they all wanted 4.
Yeah, 2 tires, it would be a call to do. I mean, they were only out here for a couple of green flag laps, so it wouldn't be a bad call at this point in the race. But again, with the new tire model out, it's one of them things you're not. I think these guys aren't really sure exactly what 4 tires will do, let alone 3 or 2 tires. So we'll see what happens with some of these guys. If some try it later on in the race, maybe for some late race strategy. But for some of these guys that did come down pit road, it might be a good call, even maybe a fuel run. If we get a lot of green flag laps here, it might help them out on the long run. So it'll be interesting to see, but not surprised most of these front runners stayed out. The track position is key when it's so hard to pass at Phoenix.
We look for the lights to go off on top of the base car the next time. By next Tuesday, the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing, returns to RaceSpotTV at AdvancedChoice.tv, as well as iRacingLive at the Motor Racing Network, right here Tuesday evenings at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time for the RaceSpotTV pre-race show. But we're happy that you're with us this evening for NASCAR Race Night. At every off week for the Peak Anniversary Series, RaceSpotTV going to be your home to sim racing every Tuesday regardless. Tonight, check it out, some NASCAR Class B Oval Series action, and it'll change throughout the season. So we're happy you're here with us this evening, and we hope to see you in the future. If you like what you're seeing and you want to get involved in iRacing and you're not already, use the PR code PR-RaceSpotNASCAR, and you can get a 3-month iRacing subscription for the price of just 1 month at $5, valid on new memberships only. So if you've been looking for an excuse to get signed up, that's PR-RaceSpotNASCAR. The lights on the pace car have gone off. Second time in a row, it'll be Tony Bonge in front of the field. Michael Vandersall does go to the number 2 spot in the wheel. The number 2 Chevrolet, conveniently enough, Ringler, Ouellette, and Scribner still the drivers being scored inside of the top 5. Into the restart box they go. Control car gone nice and early again. Green flag back out.
Another good jump right there by the 11 of Tony Mangi, and you can see Micah Vandersall do a great job as well. Look at the 16 of John Ouellette on the outside. He did it on that last restart, and he's trying to make it happen again right now as he battles side by side for that 3rd spot, and that's Trent Ringler to his inside.
And on the inside is Ringler, who started in the number 2 position, fell back early, trying to get his way back up. He really hasn't dropped outside of the top 5, but he didn't hold the number 2 spot for much longer than I'm sure he would have liked to. He'll get the number 3 spot, and now as the 16 of Ouellette, you got to watch, is everybody going to jump up on you and gang up on you? Close contact there, the 10 is Scribner, close to the left rear, the 16. Ouellette on the outside. The outside, though, has been really good in 3 and 4. You see a good entry there. He overdrives it a little bit, though, and that door shuts again. Scribner to P4, and that 8 of John Walker, first drivers on fresh tires, looking to take P5. Yes, sir.
Yeah, he's going to get there. This type of track and this racetrack, you're going to see the 4 tires really prevail over no tires, and you can see that already right there with John Walker making up another position, moving himself up into that 5th spot now. So he started up towards the front and started in that first spot, obviously on the pole, and dropped back there a little bit, but he's done a good job here to come back through the field on this restart with the fresh tires. You just got to be careful, and this is one of those, you know, you're faster than the guys in front of you. You don't want to overdrive it, because you'll find that you'll scrub the speed off of your tires rather quickly. It'll start to even out, and you won't go anywhere.
Bonge is gone, and he's out 0.6 of a second in front. Good battle for P2. Vandersall right with the 7 machine to Trent Ringler on the back bumper. Nothing brewing there. Side by side off of 4 and into the fence goes the 6 of Randall Fawkes. He was about P8. He'll drop to 11th. Now caution on the speedway just past quarter distance. Spinner behind him down the front. Going to put us under the 3rd yellow on the evening. And it looks like it is going to be the number 5 machine involved in that one, Adam Burley. A couple of guys talking. I believe he made contact with some drivers. Not sure it was the point of caution, though. The 5 and the 6 talking over the radio about their contact off of 4. They aren't going to be the trigger of the yellow flag for the 3rd time this evening. Scanning the racetrack, trying to see, it is going to be Justin Faulkner in the number 27 machine. A little bit further back in the pack where all of that happened, Andy. Same thing as we saw last time as everybody got a second look. It was at a turn number 4. Left side tires down onto that flat. Car just went around, and unfortunately for Faulkner, he got into those sand barrels down at the end of the pit lane wall, and it caused some pretty heavy damage.
Yeah, it absolutely did. And actually, you know what? Right before that, the lap before he got there, he actually went up into the wall in 3 and 4 as well. So it was trouble in 3 and 4, and it has been so far all night for that 27. That's about the 2nd time we've seen the caution come out for that going down on the apron. But like I said, a lap before, he overdrove it into the corner. He actually went up and hit the middle of the turn there up in the wall. So it could have been a caution a lap earlier, but it ended up being right there again.
A lateral grip is almost non-existent here at Phoenix. We talk about the lack of banking. Alex Scribner, by the way, is going to stay out to go to the race lead, with the drivers in front of him come down pit side for service. But especially in turns 3 and 4, you're looking at 8 degrees of banking. That's similar to a place like a Martinsville or New Hampshire, where it just doesn't feel like you have any lateral grip. You can't lean on the right side of that race car to bring you around. You really got to slow down. It is so easy to miss your mark, and if you miss it by a little bit, you might as well have blown it by a mile, because you just go straight up the hill based on what we've seen in the opening 30 laps of tonight's 100 laps of competition. I feel like it's safe to say turns 3 and 4 down there at the far end of the racetrack is definitely going to be Calamity Corner.
Well, most definitely can. And you mentioned New Hampshire or Martinsville because of the banking. That corner actually reminds me of New Hampshire a lot, where you've really got to be so patient in the corner. You get into the corner and you just feel like that car's got the grip right there, and you start getting on the gas and you can feel it pushing up the corner. You got to be so patient getting back on the throttle, and that's one of the keys at New Hampshire as well with those flat racetrack is you just got to be so patient, because that corner is real long and sweeping. So it's just one of those. It's real easy to get carried away and real easy to get on the throttle a little too early and miss your marks, like you had mentioned.
This race moving right along. I mentioned just now 30 laps down. We work lap 31 of 100 tonight under the yellow flag. Scribner stays out. We saw everybody come down to the pit lane after the caution flag at about lap 12, first one on the evening. Since then, we have seen 2 additional yellows. The second to most recent, a couple of people came down, a couple from inside the top 10, more so guys to the back. This time, I'd say more drivers came in from the front than the lap prior, but Scribner stays out. So I said that I was interested to see that we didn't see any strategy as far as 2-tire calls. With the 10 staying out, he must really want the clean air. He'll have Brandon Bowie on his outside. Elmiro Vieira going to go to the number 3 spot. And then you have the drivers that completed service with Monge and Vanosol now falling from 1-2 to 4-5.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's probably the only thing that's going to help Alex Scribner here on this restart. He's got a couple guys behind him that are on the same strategy that stayed out with those older tires. So it'll see how quickly the 11 and the 2 can actually get around them, and that's going to dictate how quickly I think they catch that 10.
Pace car going to dive down again. We've seen the leaders like to go right away. What does Scribner do? First time, the number 10 going to bring us back. He stays out, takes over the race lead, and he's on the loud pedal immediately. Green flag back in the air from Phoenix, and he'll leave the battle for P2 behind him. Elmiro Vieira started 3rd inside on row number 2. He'll take P2 from Brandon Bowie's number 4 Toyota. Shuts the door high side. The 4 going to check up. 3 wide behind for 3rd. The 2 on the bottom. All the way to the inside goes Vanisdal, and on the top side, the 11 of Monge.
Player Brandon Bowie did a great job right there hanging on to it. He had 2 cars splitting him. And
big contact. And Monge going to spin hard into the inside wall. Caution flag is out. They scatter to avoid him. And that is a lot of contact and a lot of damage. The number 11 of Tony Monge leading this race comes down to the pit lane, and something happened with that 2 off of the corner. Michael Vanisdal, the second highest driver, running with tires. You're taking a look at the replay now, Andy. On the inside, he tried to make a sweepy move to the bottom of the 21. We talked about the cars just not wanting to rotate in. Well, off, they can get really loose. He gave it a little bit too much wheel. The back end of that car did not really come around with the front end. It started to drift wide, and he overcorrected and just slammed the 11 machine. Heavy damage as well for the 16 and the 1 behind. At least 4 or 5 cars get a piece of that, but the big note is the 2 drivers that were running 1-2 and pitted, Vanisdal and as well the driver that was leading this race prior to the caution flag, the number 11 machine on the outside of the racetrack, and Tony Monge, both of them get heavily damaged, and at least at this point, they don't like they're in racing condition.
Oh, absolutely not. Those were 2 hard licks into the wall right there, and it's tough to see. I mean, you got probably two of the fastest guys here in this first part of the race, and now they're going to end up taking themselves out basically there off of turn number 4. But that's exactly what he just got loose right there off of the corner. getting on the throttle, trying to make that move and turn down a little bit too much. And we saw that a little bit earlier on as well. And that's exactly what that was, just too much throttle for the turn right there on that flat ground, because it gets real flat on the straightaway. So just no grip at all on that back end of that 2 machine, and it's going to just cost him and the 11 some good running that they were early on. And I wouldn't say that pit stop put them in a bad position, because they were still up there in the top 10. So just a product of getting on it and getting after it quick.
And Michael Van Isdal coming over the radio, he takes responsibility for that accident. So although it doesn't help the 11th machine of Tony Manchado because the damage has been done, Van Isdal does say that that was his fault. And again, he just got loose. It's just a racing deal. It's not even like they were driving each other too hard. I will say it did get pretty crazy at a turn number 2, and that's going to be expected with drivers on fresh tires, drivers on old tires, but they were too wide. We have seen 3 wide so far tonight, just one of those racing deals. Wrong place at the wrong time, and that really shuffles up our running order, because Scribner still in the number 10 Chevrolet out in front of the field. I guess he likes the strategy call. Started P7, stays out for the 3rd consecutive time under the caution flag. Elmiro Vieira still in P2, but now it's Brandon DeBuey 3rd. Trent Ringler now back up to the number 4 spot, and our pole sitter tonight, John Walker, trying to get back into the conversation. He is just running behind them in the number 5 spot. Still got 25 cars on the lead lap.
Those were 2 very fortunate drivers on that accident. The 7 of Trent Ringler was awfully close to that accident. He made a great move diving down to the bottom, so a good heads-up call by him and a good piece of driving. That's what got him through that accident. And, of course, John Walker as well, avoiding that one as well. So that leaves at least a couple of those guys that started up towards the front of the field still in this one. So these guys will have to have their chance now with the fresh tires to see if they can get in front of these guys ahead of them.
Lights back off again. You know, the race leader has an opportunity to play with the restarts a little bit. They have for the pace car dives down to the sim actually throwing the green flag to go. Nobody's waited more than a couple of tenths of a second. I think you see it a lot more in some of the private league stuff, the gamesmanship on the restarts. Scribner, I have a feeling he's just going to want to take off as soon as the pace car dives down. So you would think it makes it a little bit easier for a guy like an Elmiro Vieira or Brandon DeBuey to kind of guesstimate when that'll be happening. But so far, our leaders have been setting sail and leaving everybody else in the dust. So we'll see how they negotiate this one. 38 laps down and 62 laps to go in Phoenix. The pace car going to make the sharp left-hand turn down to the safety of pit road. There goes Scribner, green flag back in the air at 39. Now to the works, and he brings the 4 of Bowie with him up to 2nd.
Yeah, he does. That was a good move right there. And look at that 8 machine now, a Walker. He's going to move to the inside, and at 21 of Elmiro Vieira, he's just falling back now. He's going to lose about 3 positions before they even make it around for another lap, possibly 4 now, as you see the 18 of John Micah looking to the inside. So the 21 on those older tires, it's not working out for him on this restart.
Yeah, absolutely not. He slides back. He loses 3 spots out of turns 3 and 4 alone. Walker, Ringler, Burley, and as well Micah, John Micah, the number 18 from P12 to P6 gets the move on him. And Brandon Holder, talked about him earlier, the 14 back into conversation. His Mustang going to go up the inside, and he'll take P7. And Vieira as well on the old tires. He hasn't been working them as well as Scribner has, but he's got enough in him to fight back up the bottom, the crossover at a turn 4, and now down to turn 1. He won't get a shot at him. Caution flag flies behind. Turns 3 and 4 again, and there's big junk. Monge, Olette, Logwood, and Prochnow involved. It's a 4-car accident.
That was another good accident right there, as you see the replay go up on your screen. Right off
Same
of turn
spot every time.
Yeah, right off of turn number 4. He called it earlier. Calamity Corner here tonight, but exactly what we've seen so far all night long. Just some tight racing, getting on the apron. It looked like for the 11, and when he tried to collect it and come up the racetrack, just got into the back of the 29 of Brad Prochow, and that just caused a 4-car accident real quick right there. And on the restarts, we're going to see it. You're going to see a lot more than just 1 or 2 cars involved, because they're so close, so close together still after the first couple of laps.
Looks like 5 drivers total and going to get a piece of that one. That almost just looks like Monge overdriving it a little bit, maybe trying to drive that car like it was driving it before the damage, because he was digging up the inside. It was an aggressive move, coming off of the corner, closing in on Brad Prochnow, and it just didn't work. The car broke sideways, came up into him, and you saw the track get blocked behind. That's where the additional damage comes from the 22 and the 16. A little bit of damage as well on Malcolm Coleman's entry. His car already torn up just a little bit from previously in the race. Doesn't cause much additional damage, but that one again in turn 4, and again more so towards the back of the pack than the front. Finally, Scribner pit side, the number 10, going to give things up, and really because these the last 3-4 yellows, Andy, have come at such short frequency and have had such short of green flag stints in between, that with that being said, now we have a lot of guys on a lot of different strategies. It looked like you would pit every single time down the pit lane after we saw that first yellow, because at lap 10, nobody tried anything. Everybody took 4 Goodyear tires and filled them up and got back out there. Now we've seen a lot of variance. Scrivener led laps up front with the old tires. He takes now new tires, drops back, and it puts Walker back to the point as our original pole sitter. Just shy of the halfway point, and the running order is completely skewed. Your top 3 drivers started inside of the top 10, and in 4th through 11th feature drivers all from outside the top 10.
Yeah, it's a great mix, and you know what? The early cautions, when those guys outside the top 10 made those pit stops when the leaders stayed out, where it gives them the advantage now, because they still have some decently fresh tires underneath them, and they got a lot of help behind them too as well. So it was a good call by Walker and Trent Ringler there to stay out as well and keep that track position, get the lead back, and see what they can do, because they'll have a couple other cars, or at least one of them behind them right there, the 23 of Chris Fletcher, also deciding to stay out. So it's not till you get back to that 16 car, but he's smoking. I'm not sure if he's going to stay on the racetrack. This would be a bold move if he does, but I don't think that's a good call if he stays out there. He should come down this time, I think.
Yeah, we'll see. You know that you got to do anything to get the car out there. It looks like he's going to ride the inside, and he will come down pit road this time by, as we were expecting / hoping. That's going to cost him some time if you can get back out there. A regular pit stop going to put him well behind for the restart. So it looks like Golette, who started to P4, his night going to come to a short end. There's plenty of smoke coming out of the back of the number 16 Toyota Camry. He'll see what he can do, and for a lot of the guys towards the back of the pack, as the lights go off and the clean cars up front double up, the damaged cars towards the back are now just trying to limp for the rest of the race. At this point, it's about minimizing damage. The good news for them is, for this iRacing Class B series, is you can do plenty more of these races throughout the week in order to accumulate your points for the week. So it's not all bad news. The guys up front trying to make this their points paying event for the week and run it up front inside of the top split is a good way to do so. There's still tons of time left. Pace car to the pit lane, 45 down, 55 laps to go, and Walker changes his up. He holds him back and now takes the green flag, and it checks the bottom lane up and puts him in front.
Yeah, it does. It puts him in front and makes the battles going on behind him that much more sweeter. Now, as you can see, that 10 of Alex Scribner making the move on the 23 of Chris Fletcher right there off of turn number 2. That'll put him up in that 3rd spot with the fresh tires. That brings along also John Micah in the 18, and the top 5, 6, 7 guys now going to single file it out and race off turn 4.
Single filing things out is something that we saw a lot of early, but since then, a lot of drivers starting to get into some desperation. They feel like they have to start going to places, and the cautions are holding them back, so they get a little bit more physical. Look at the 21, Elmiro Vieira, down to the bottom of the racetrack. You'll see the slow number 15 comes up, Chris Jennings, 14 laps down. He held the bottom, got out of the way, but eventually he needed some banking to make the corner, came up right in front of Chris Fletcher, and that kills the momentum that Vieira had. He's stuck behind him.
Yeah, he's stuck behind him with nowhere to go right now. And whoa!
Car sideways in front of him.
That's the 10.
Fly. Wow. And that was the number 10, as you mentioned. Alex Scribner just came down to the pit lane. We were talking about how I think the gamble would have been him staying out. He comes down to take tires, and we were following that battle, and out of nowhere, you see that car stopped up against the outside retaining wall. Replay going to go up now, running into number 3 spot. He just got turned on the bottom, the 18 machine. I mean, the 10 pinched him down. He didn't give him a lot of room, but the 18 machine of John Micah did get into him and send him around. And that pack that we were watching is lucky that that wasn't worse, because a lot of the time you'll swing really wide off the corner. They just missed plowing it into him.
Yeah, they did. The exit of the corner, especially after turn number 2, gets really narrow too. So, you know, you really want to use all the racetrack. That's where they're going to gain all their speed, coming up off the corner, up towards the wall. And it really had a lot of those guys had to really turn that thing left to avoid hitting the 10 there off of the wall. So that was a close call by them. But yeah, I think the 18 just dove it down into the corner a little too hot. Kind of pushed up the racetrack just a tad. They made some contact with Scribner, and that will bring out the caution again. But tough break for that 10 because he was looking pretty fast.
So he'll have to come down to the pit lane to get serviced. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Walker stays out, goes to the race lead. Ringler pits from P2. Vieira stays out for P3. At this point, it's almost a 50-50 split of who's coming down and who is staying out. But I think what we're learning here is while track position is important, the last couple of accidents, as opposed to the first few, have actually come from running inside of the top 5, which I find interesting. And at a track like Phoenix, again, I always hesitate to call this place a short track because it's 1.022 miles in length. But by the NASCAR standard, it is a short track. It is a physical racetrack. We've seen a lot of beating and banging here tonight. So I'm almost liking the call that these guys are taking, Andy, to stay out and just be in the lead. I think the lead's the only place that somebody hasn't gotten into from all night long, and that's right now John Walker up at the top spot. You get tires, although you're not finding yourself back in 10th or 15th, you're still finding yourself in the middle of these 2 wide restarts, and so far they've proved to be fatal for a couple of these guys because they can't get through the restart. And a lot of drivers that we saw running top 5 in the opening half of this race, as we take the cross flags this time, 50 down and 50 to go, are now beat up a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of beat up cars out there, and you know what, that it has been the safest place has been that guy up in the lead. And it's just you know, when you can have the advantage of dictating when to go on the green flag, it just gives you such an advantage being the race leader. And we've seen it all night long, and it has been the safest place. And once these other guys have some of our faster guys have pitted, even though they were inside the top 10, being around other cars and in the traffic, it just hasn't been good news for him all night. And again, right there, another product of that, another one of the fast guys that was showing a lot of speed and showing a lot of potential to get the victory here tonight. Another one down now with a lot of damage, and he'll find himself back in the pack and trying to basically survive and get every possible point position he can possibly get before the end of this thing.
So the lights go off again. We'll see if the complexion of this race starts to change, because as I mentioned, we no longer count up, we count down. And normally what that means is it gets a little bit more physical and it gets a little bit more intense, because again, for the guys that remain up here in this top split Class B oval event, looking to pick up a lot of I rating from this race, looking to pick up a lot of points for the seasonal championship, they want to preserve this. And the good news for them is a lot of the fast guys are out of this race. You got Malcolm Coleman, John Ouellette, Jeff Backey Jr., as well as Alex Scribner, Tony Bonge, Michael Van der Sal. Those guys all started top 10. They're all running outside of the top 15. You have a good opportunity to capitalize on their misfortune. However, your pole sitter, John Walker, he's back to the lead. The 8 Chevy, green flag in the air, 48 laps to go from Phoenix, and he'll swing to the high side. Look at 4 wide down the front straightaway. What a move by the 4 of Brandon Bowie up the bottom.
That was a bold move right there, right before the start-finish line, too. Not sure if he'll get a penalty for that one or not, but that was a close call for passing before the line on the bottom. That is a no-no in the service, so we'll see if he didn't cross the line before him, so I don't know if he'll actually get the penalty there. But man, that was a bold move right there, and he was able to make it stick.
3.
Yeah, look at him get loose.
Save. Wow,
yeah.
Bergeron, 14. driver. The 3 machine in between the 4 now. 3 wide. It might not work. Up the middle. Brandon Bowie again with an impressive move. He'll get 2 spots in 1 and 2, but that 3 of Bergeron was about halfway pointed to the inside wall, and somehow he didn't knock down the outside wall as he slid high. A spectacular save. It'll cost him time, no doubt about it. Those tires are probably scorched. It's going to be a painful stint for him, and he's got plenty of people attacking from behind, including the 6 of Randall Fox, but what a piece of driving.
It absolutely was, and I think the whole reason why he didn't lose it there is he didn't get that second tap. We see that a lot of times in the races that, that single tap, these guys can hang on to it, but typically that car behind him will give him one more little nudge, and that's usually the one that spins him right out. So good job by him, but he's falling real bad right now as that 3 machine starting just continuing to lose spots, and I think those tires really got heat up. They're really upset at the moment, and it makes it tough to drive. Plus the fact that he can't even get down to the bottom lane now because everybody was stacked up on that inside lane. So he's going to continue to lose some spots.
The guys at the bottom aren't playing nice either. You saw the 17 of Ray Doran. He slid high at 1 and 2. The 3 had to move up to account for that. So Doran going to go 17th from the grid to down P10. The 3 finally going to get a spot in line. Bergeron now sliding to the number 11 spot after being top 5. Battle for the race lead is on. John Walker, Trent Ringler pulling away from everybody else. They're 0.8 of a second clear to the next closest competitor, running in 3rd place of Elviro Vieira, but Ringler has been reeling him in, and a bobble that time in 4 takes away all the hard work he did. That gap going to now grow to 0.4.
That's going to grow a little bit. Just one little mistake like that, and you can see how much you fall back from that guy in front of you, but the way as fast as he has been over the last few laps, I would not be surprised to see him catch right back up to John Walker right there. And at 14, just behind of Brandon Holder, made some contact with the 3 about 5 or 6 laps ago, but ever since then been making headway up towards the front, and he's been showing some good lap times as well. So keep an eye on that 14 as this race goes on too, because he continues to close that gap up to Trent Ringler, and Ringler again, once again, has closed that gap again as they race back down the back straightaway.
I'm curious to see how long it'll take Ringler to reel Walker back in if he can. It did look like for sure that the number 7 Chevy was a little bit quicker than the 8, which is interesting because Ringler really struggled in the opening half of the race, or at least the times that I came across the 7, he was always losing positions. But he started P2 and he's running in P2. The key for him is he's just been constantly there. He might lose a spot or 2, but he hasn't really dropped outside the top 5 or the top 10 with the drivers in which he is on sequence with, and he's just that constant thorn in the side of John Walker, not letting him get away. The 8 machine kind of wants to start searching for some grip, but he can't give any more time up. The 7's coming at 40 laps to go from Phoenix. We haven't seen somebody lead for 20 laps consecutively. Walker going to bring this one all the way through to the end. Ringler has better ideas. The constant is, though, the 8 and the 7 are the fastest drivers on track without question. Now 1.5 seconds away from 3rd.
And we got a lot of battling going on all throughout the field, too. I'm looking right now. It looks like we got caution again on the speedway.
Caution flag waves, this time down the back straightaway. Patrick Rizzo Jr., the number 28 car, beaten and banged up, heavy back-end damage on his Chevrolet Camaro. He'll be the cause of the yellow, this time's first caution inside of the second half of competition. And I think that might actually be, Andy, the first yellow knocked down in turn 4. He lost it at a turn number 2, went up high to the wall, and wow, he was really digging to get down to the inside of that dog leg. The car just went around on him. Heavy contact to the outside wall. Jake Hayes collected.
Yeah, and another car with some damage on that one too. Tony Monch trying to avoid it, and he spun out again. So that 11 car was showing to be the fastest thing on the racetrack here tonight, and unfortunate circumstances for him has cost him a couple accidents here and a lot of damage to that 11 car, just trying to survive at this point, and still showing on the lead lap. So he's trying to get everything he can. The problem is it's just that car is just so battered that it's going to be tough to keep the speed up, and I imagine that the toe is out too for that for him to steer that thing rather well. So he's got a long haul left to go.
If Phoenix isn't a high-speed track to the point where you would think aero's important, but you need a lot of downforce to keep that car on the track. Pit road open, and it looks like everybody's coming down. John Walker lucky enough to be in the lead when we get back in some sort of a uniform pit cycle, because all your race leaders coming down to the pit lane as we work lap 63 of 100, and he's going to come down again all the way to that number 1 pit stall. He lost the race lead earlier by overshooting the entry. This time into his stall, he gets it entered cleanly.
Yeah, practice makes perfect. That's what it is. A few pit stops for him, and he's been able to get it in there the last couple times and have no issues at all. So we'll remain that as our race leader, which is a good thing for him this late in the race. And depending on how any other cautions fall, this might be the last time we might see these guys on pit road. So it could have been a call to win the race right there for that 8 machine.
A smart move. It's going to keep him in front of the field, which I noted clean air so far seems to be the biggest single advantage that you can give yourself. You will see in between him and the race leader, Chris Jennings, the number 15 machine, awaits a wave by from 14 laps down. Again, we had 28 drivers take the green flag. 30 of them have now completed at least one lap. We have 21 drivers on the lead lap all the way through that 28 of Patrick Risso Jr. that we just mentioned, who was the cause of our most recent caution flag. Now it's crunch time. We're going to be within inside of 35 laps to go. Based on the numbers that we've seen so far, you could expect maybe 2 or 3 more yellows and maybe one more trip down to the pit lane, which is why that 8 machine ever so importantly had to hold on there. Lights off on top of the pace car. It'll be exactly 35 laps to go when we get this action back underway. Walker, Ringler, Holder, Bowie, Falks inside of the top 5. Andy, who you liking?
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you, Walker and Trent Ringler in that 7. Those two, I think, in the second half of this race so far, have been the guys to watch out for. Of course, they started up there 1-2 as well, so obviously they know how to get around this place. But one car I'm really watching, and that was from that last time, Brandon Holder in that 14 has been showing a lot of speed here late in the going, so keep an eye on that 14 still as we continue on here.
You will see there's plenty of competition up front. Can't forget about Vieira, Micah, as well as Ryan Van Nistel and Doran inside of the top 10. Could it be for the final time tonight? Pace car down. 35 laps will remain from PIR. Walker holds him back to the restart zone. Green flag back in the air. He goes. And look at the 4 already digging. Brandon Bowie made 2 extremely aggressive moves on the last restart. He wants in the conversation. He'll go at it door to door with Ringler. The 7 the advantage on the bottom.
We'll have that advantage on the bottom, but we've seen that topside work for a couple guys here. It's not going to be this time into turn number 3. We're going to single file out now, put that 4 back in the 3rd spot, but he's going to get a run here now off of turn number 4, give a little shot to the 7, to the inside, but not enough speed as they still race their way back. And look at that 14, almost dive it to the center, and we got the caution again.
And it looks like in turn number 4, the number 16 machine of John Ouellette. We saw he involved in an accident earlier in this race with the number 11 machine. Immediately following that, the 11 was in an accident, and now John Ouellette, caution flag is out. He's not happy. To be fair, he had plenty of help on that one. Jay Collins, P30, running on the inside in 3 and 4. I did talk about a battle that we saw in the inside the top 10, and I said, well, the guys at the bottom aren't being nice because they're pushing up. Collins pushes up off of that yellow line, and he just goes up a little bit too far, takes out the 16, gets him in the left rear, and at that point, there's really not a whole lot that John Ouellette can do. He did a good job of hanging on to it because he didn't plow the inside wall. He did just get sideways enough to trigger the yellow flag.
That was just enough to trigger the yellow, but I was surprised that it actually triggered the yellow there because there wasn't any traffic behind him as well. So sometimes it does that. But you know what? With the 16 there, I really think that 25 that was a pretty aggressive move there, going down the back straightaway. He tried a crossover move, and he said I think he just misjudged his entry. And oh, now they're going to spin each other there on the one in turn number 3 there.
I believe we saw something like this last year, and it did not end well for them because I'm unsure if all the drivers are aware, but the TV camera saw it. And this is an official series, so that probably was not the best idea for the 16 to do, to take him out on the back straightaway. I'll say that much. And at least a couple of drivers now begin to fall out of the race here as their nights go down. But, I mean, Ouellette took him out under the caution flag. There's no denying that. And that's probably not going to look good for the officials, and I'm sure they'll have a look at that, but the 16, a little bit of retribution there. He has a right to be upset. I can understand that much because it was Jake Collins running in 30th position out of 30 cars, 53 laps down, and he took him out, so you can understand the frustration. It was a little bit of an aggressive move, but you hate to see the retribution like that, and it's really just temper starting to boil over.
That's a product of short track racing when you get into these places, these tight corners, and everybody's racing hard, and the frustration maybe that you think you should be a little bit higher in the standings at this point in the race, and circumstances dictate that you're not, so you get a little aggressive and a little bit too much aggressive, and I think right there it just was what it was, and I think these guys are obviously a little upset over what's going on here, so tough break, and hopefully cooler heads will prevail.
Lights are still on the pace car. They should go out this time. You did get a look at that contact down the back straightaway. Again, that was under the yellow flag, and I'm sure that will warrant a post-race review. The guys up front, they're just trying to stay out of it. I guess you're right. It is short track racing. I already went over my spiel about how it's tough to call a mile-long track a short track, but they're racing like it is, and they have been pretty physical tonight. And I did say at halfway point, I don't think it's going to settle down anytime soon, and I don't think this is the end of the physicality, because that 7 machine at Trent Ringler may or may not have something for John Walker, and if they get to each other late, I guarantee you they're going to put on a show for the checkered flag. The light's going to be extinguished around the Phoenix International Raceway, and the top the pace car this time will take 29 laps to go. The next time by the start-finish line. Happy to have you with us on Fans Choice TV NASCAR Race Night for the iRacing Class B Series Phoenix 100 NASCAR Beginning for Series action returns to RaceSpotTV beginning next Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time right here as well, streaming live at our affiliates at iRacingLive, FansChoice.tv, and the Motor Racing Network. But we're about to toss out a checkered flag here. John Walker looking to walk away with 48 points. He will be your control car for the 3rd consecutive time.
Keep an eye, Evan, on this 4. He's been very aggressive the last couple of restarts. I'll be interested to see what kind of jump he can get on this one and what he'll do.
He's gone positive on all of those restarts as well. He's up to 3rd inside to row 2, and a good jump for Walker. Going to put him out to the lead. Here comes that 4, as you mentioned, Brandon Bowie up the bottom, side by side for the number 2 spot. Ringler on the outside. The 4 of Bowie on the bottom. Door to door down the back they go, and all the way cut the dog leg in half. Halfway to the inside wall goes Bowie.
And you can see right there that going down there really didn't give him that much of an advantage, because when he came back up on the racetrack, they were still side by side, and they're still going to continue to battle side by side down the front straightaway. That's a real good battle for that 2nd spot right now. You'd think that 4 would have the advantage, but he quite didn't. Caution back up.
Caution comes out just as Ringler comes back with an impressive move on the outside of the racetrack. The yellow flag returns, and it's the number 17 of Ray Doran. Do you want to take a guess what corner it was in? Take a look as the replay comes up, and it was turn number 4. No surprise. I just took a look at the 17. And same thing again, just close to the apron. And it doesn't snap around. The car just slowly gets away from him. And it did a little bit of a soft loop off of the corner. Didn't even get a chance to spin all the way around. He was fighting that wheel all the way to the inside wall before he locked it up. But once he became motionless on the front straightaway, it did automatically trigger the caution flag. So we slow him down again. And it's the same old song and dance.
That's what you call a lazy spin right there. Just real slow and just getting on the throttle right there. A little bit too much on the throttle after hitting the apron, and just a real lazy spin. Fortunate enough for him, though, not too much damage, just a little to that left front nose, and he should be able to continue on here, at least with some decent speed, maybe get some more positions back. Obviously showing him right now in that 19th spot, the last car on the lead lap. So we'll see if he can make up some more ground here before this one's over. But yeah, that's a nice lazy spin right there, a soft lazy spin through off of turn 4.
Only one driver going to be involved in that one, and it was the number 17 of Ray Doran. And he coming over the radio and talking with the team, and he said that he didn't even know what happened. It just went around. He didn't have a chance to hang on to it, and he'll come in and get services done to the left front of that car. We hit the reset button again, and now 3/4 distance from PIR into the final 25 laps. Let's take a look at our iRacing running board as we go right now. Let's take a look at the current standings top to bottom. John Walker is in front, the Trent Wrangler for P1 and P2. Brandon DeBowie scored 3rd. Brandon Holter in 4th. Amayo Vieira in the number 5 spot. John Micah P6. Adam Burley 7th. Michael Vanisdal in the number 8 position. 9th right now is Sean Ryan, and Ryan Neffenegger behind him in 10th.
Alex Bergeron in the 3 has rebounded. He sits 11th right now. 12th is Chris Fletcher. Timmy Logwood is sitting 13th. 14th goes to Luke Fenhaus. Alex Scribner up to the 15th spot after his accident. 16th right now, Keith Vaughn. 17th goes to Jake Hayes. Brad Prochnow is in the, well, switch them now. Jake Hayes to 18th. 19th is, well, they're all moving around now. I don't even know. But Brad Prochnow.
There's a lot of guys torn up on pit road back there, yeah. And then everybody else is now laps down. So top 20 on the lead lap. Guys that are down laps. Jeff Backey Jr. 21st, 22nd. Tony Bonge. Randall Fox 23rd. 24th is Chris Jennings. John Roulette 25th. From here on back, they're all behind the fence. P26 Schwitt. P27 is Coleman. Faulkner is 18th. 29th is Jay Collins. And Rosemary Townsend is in the number 30 position after rolling from the grid in the number 23 spot. So we go at it again. Another restart means another opportunity for somebody to take a swipe at John Walker, but I think the race lead has been such a strong position tonight. We've seen pretty good battles for second, that most recent restart included. We saw Ringler and Holder go at each other's door for an entire lap around, and somehow on the outside, the 7 managed to win that battle before the yellow flag came up, but our leaders have really been uncontested tonight.
Yeah, they have been, and you know, it's a product of dictating when that start, or you know, when the green flag's going to come out and when they can go. And we saw it a couple times early on where the leaders would just go as soon as the pace car was off, and we've seen the last few times John Walker actually slowing the field up a little bit. So you got to change it up. It can't be the same every time, or those guys in second and third and a couple of rows back will start timing the restart, and then you'll have trouble.
We'll see what strategy card he pulls on this one. Lap 77 to the books, and we'll have 23 laps to go from the Phoenix International Raceway. So pace car will slot to the inside. He holds back, and now on the gas. Green flag back in the air. Second time in a row. Good jump for Bowie on the bottom. Gonna make it side by side for a second. Look at the 14. Thinking about 3 wide. Hard on the brakes is Brandon Holder. He slides up doors. John and Micah 3 wide behind them.
Yeah, it's going to make the 18 fall back quite a bit right now. Lose about 3 positions as they go back into turn number 3. Now he's going to look and makes a little bump right there to the 21 and Elmiro. That's going to push him up to the high side. The 18 now looking to make some ground up here as he lost it all on that restart. Battle for second has quieted down, at least for the time being. Now they sit as they started right there. Little spin right behind these guys. One of the cars able to keep it straight. Looked like the 19 of Sean Ryan.
They're using every single inch of the dog leg, and contact the 19, the 24 hard, and the outside wall goes the number 24 down the back straightaway. That's Keith Vaughn. The 22 spins to the inside. That's Timmy Logwood Jr. He gets tipped. He's in the inside fence, and all of that, no caution. We are still green. It's pandemonium at Phoenix International Raceway. All behind, as you mentioned, Andy, for the first time, somebody actually won the battle for second. Ringler ends up in front of Bowie, 1, 2, and 3, with Walker leading the way. They try to pull away from follow the action behind them, and that 18 of John Micah that we talked about on the restart got hit in the driver's side door by Brandon Holder, who looked to the inside on 3 wide. He checked it up, pushed up the hill. The 18's trying to get back on it. He's back in 7th, took a swipe at the 21 that time.
He's made contact a couple times through the corners there, giving him a little shot, but he hasn't been able to capitalize it at all with a classic bump and run there. So for the 18, he's showing a little bit more speed than Elmiro there in the 21, but it hasn't been enough to at least make the pass, and he's starting to fall back just a bit, about 4 car lengths now, heading back into turn number 1. So might have heated up those tires just a bit there on the 18, and that might be all the ground he's going to make up before this one's over.
Trying to catch the wave, and that battle is still 2.5 seconds behind the lead, though. So trying to get a couple of more spots. Sure, in a position to battle for the race lead. Probably not at this juncture. 18 laps to go. John Walker enjoying the lead up front. Caution flag is out. Just about to say that he's trying to pull away, and it looks like the number 22, Timmy Longwood Jr. Yes, sir. That's the cause of the caution. 3 wide down the front straightaway into the corner, and it did not work at all. He actually hit the inside wall, something that you don't see often anywhere, but at Phoenix it happens, I wouldn't say frequently, but you do see it time and time again. The RaceSpotTV showing you a second look at that one, Andy. Aggressive move to the bottom, and it's hard to see from the angle we saw in the chopper, but the car was sideways going into the corner. He hit that inside fence, which is right there at the yellow line, hit it with the front end of the car, bounced back up the hill, and got turned by the 28 machine as Risa Jr. tried to really get on the binders as fast as he could, but he just couldn't do it.
I don't think there's any other track on the circuit except maybe Martinsville that has a wall that close to the entrance of a corner, and that's just a tough break right there. But like you said, I think he just flat out got loose. Probably on the brakes too hard right there going into turn number 1, just trying to make up some time, and the problem was it was going to put him 3 wide, and he knew that, so he had to slow up real quick to not push up into these guys, and he ended up hitting that wall, and that put him up into the 28 of Patrick Riso, and that of course then brought out the caution. But this all happened not too far in front of our leaders. That 22 was going to try to come back down the racetrack, but everybody was able to get back around, so only 3 cars involved in that one.
I would say the only things, I mean, anywhere similar to that wall that I can think of is at Auto Club Speedway. The pit road exit cone is so close to the inside of the racetrack that if for any reason you go just slightly to the apron, it doesn't even have to be in an accident or anything, but if you're just too low in any sort of a battle down through the front straightaway into turn 1, you could actually end up on the inside of that cone and get an unsafe pit exit penalty or a speeding on pit road penalty. Other than that, I think that really tight turn 1 wall is fairly unique to this track. The 8 machine, John Walker, stays out. The 7, Trent Ringler, though, comes down pit road, and he gives up the number 2 spot to Brandon Bowie.
That's probably not the time of the race that you want to make that call right there and give up that track position. Obviously, the tire's worn out, but so many cars stayed out right there. That's definitely going to hurt that 7 machine here, and Trent Ringler's going to pay for that one here as the laps tick by.
We'll see how far that kicks him back, because we haven't really seen a lot of guys pit from the top 5, drop way back into outside of the top 5, maybe about B13, 14 or so, and to be able to drive their way back up front. In fact, there's been plenty of passing on track, but there hasn't been anybody who's been making up a lot of spots consistently under the green flag. A lot of the major changes for position have been really dictated by the fuel strategy so far this evening. So where does that put Trent Ringler? It looks like he's going to be back at the inside of row number 5 in 9th position. That's a little bit further back than I would like to be inside of 15 laps to go.
Oh, you're absolutely right on that one. And you talked about the making a call like that this late in the race, and he had nothing, I don't think, for that 8 machine. So in his eyes, he had to pit. The problem is trying to make it through this traffic in 15 laps. And you talked about these guys not being able to we haven't seen anybody at least make their way up through the field quickly. And I think it's just because we haven't had that long of a green flag run where it gives these guys an opportunity maybe to make up 5, 6, 7, 8 spots here on a green flag run. It's just been too short of runs, I think, for any of these guys to really try to make up any type of ground like that.
The lights go off on the pace car. Could this be the final restart on the evening? We'll take lap 88 and 13 laps to go. It could be an unlucky number or a lucky number depending on who you are. The 8 hopes it's lucky. It'll be John Walker, your pole sitter in control, who almost looked like he was becoming a non-factor midpoint in the race. Strategy called back up front. He's put the pedal to the metal. He is one of the fastest cars on track. Green flag back in the air, but look at the 4 machine up on the outside of the racetrack. Brandon Bowie, going to keep him honest. The 4 will slide into P2. It's a battle for third behind with Vieira and Holder.
That's Holder on the inside, one of those cars showing speed here late in the race. And right now he's got an opportunity to at least get to the top 3, but
geez, the 2 up the middle. Wow.
They almost went 3 wide right there, and they're actually going to push the issue right here as the 21 went way up the racetrack, and now they'll be 3 wide off of the turn number 4. They'll settle it out, though, 2 wide now as the 21 has to do battle with that 2 machine of Michael Van der Zal.
Tell you what, that dog leg is wide, but these guys have to remember that it thins up when you get down to the corner because you can't be running up against the fence in 3 and 4. You want to be as close to that yellow line as you can. Plenty of action going on back here in the pack. The 7, the 2, they do battle inside of the top 10. Give the spot to Ringler. He gets the upper hand on Van der Zal, but better tires. In front of them, Burley beats out Vieira for the number 4 spot, and now battling well behind the race lead. More action on track, but up front, Brandon Bowie, 0.2 of a second, and I'd say 2 car lengths, if not now less, driving it hard into turn number 3, coming to 10 laps to go. P1 and P2, it's just a car length amongst them.
It's time to go for that 4 machine of Brandon Bowie, and he's trying to make a run for it as they have a huge separation back to 3rd place of Adam Burley in that 5 machine. We haven't talked much about him this late in the race, but he's got himself up to that 3rd spot. But the top 2, they're checking out now down the back straightaway. And that 4 of Brandon Bowie, he's at least there. He's trying to hopefully pounce on a mistake by John Walker, but we haven't seen a mistake out of that 8 car yet tonight.
He wants to force the 8 into an error, and John Walker, he sees him through the rearview mirror. He might tell you that he doesn't, and he tries not to focus on it at least, but he could feel the pressure of the 4. The 4 may not have enough to get to him. I feel like if that 4 of Brandon Bowie was fast enough to just get to the bumper, he would have gotten there by now. So he's going to have to try to force the 8 into a mistake. Walker may have caught the outside fence that time in the turn number 3. The gap closes once again, now with inside of 0.2 of a second goes Brandon Bowie. He just needs the 8 to slip up, open up the inside lane just once. That's all he needs coming around to take lap number 94 the next time by. 3 laps from now in the range where a yellow would end this race, so if Bowie wants to go, he's got to get going.
Yeah, he's got to get it done real quick now, and you can see him close the gap through the center of the corner. That 8 machine just doing a great job on his entry. He's a little slower on entry. That's giving him the run off the corner to at least keep that advantage. Now still about a car length and a half through 1 and 2. But don't look now. I think they're running out of laps, but that 7 machine's coming as well.
Ringler 1 second back. If the 8 and the 4 get to doing some fighting, who knows? He could catch up, but he slid back too much on the restart. Again, he was back in the pack. First driver on 4 tires. An interval this time by. Going to give us a good idea just how good those tires are for Ringler. He'll go from 1 second back to 1.1 seconds back. So the tires were good enough to get himself back up to P3, which kudos to him, but I'm surprised he got that many spots, Andy, on the restart. I was skeptical at how deep he was. I think he'll just be shy, though, of being able to get into this battle for the race lead. 5 laps to go this time by. It's still Walker out in front of the field. Couple of fights inside the top 5, couple of fights inside of the top 10. The 14 and the 18 go side by side for 5th. It's John Micah to the inside of Brandon Holder. It's the highest, most side-by-side battle, and the 18 gets it.
And I think the tires have finally been gone now on that 14 machine, and he's starting to struggle at this point. Look at the 21. Dive it down to the inside. He's got to get loose now, and the 3 Three's going to keep them straight. No, he's not. The 2 makes some contact. Looks like we're going to stay green there, but the 21 went for a ride there.
Caution, that's it. The 3, the 21, we told you it was getting fun back in the pack, and I don't think it's really going to be a move that prevents Brandon Bowie from getting a shot at the win because he was starting to fall back, but the 2 blocked him in. The 21 was coming up the bottom, 2 shut the door, and because of that, what we saw was Elmiro Vieira, he drove it in hard into the corner and just got sideways. He a little bit too much on the brakes there. We've seen a lot of that tonight at a very flat racetrack. Got sideways, spun it around, and overcorrected back up on the apron. That will trigger the caution flag at 4 laps to go, and that means that this race will end at a slowed pace. It'll be a checker and a yellow alongside each other as John Walker catches up to the pace car. I'll admit, if you told me at lap 40 that John Walker was going to walk away with the checkered flag, I would be skeptical because he wasn't really struggling, but he wasn't a huge dynamo factor. He was up there, but he wasn't doing a whole lot because he dropped off for the race lead relatively early. Again, led for the first pit stop, lost it though onto the pit lane and couldn't get back up there, but kudos to him and the number 8 Chevrolet team getting back up front and holding on because Brandon Bowie was putting the heat to him. They'll take 2 to go this time by. Bowie, a good run for him from 14th to get up to 2nd. The 4 machine was really the guy making all of the noise there late, but I think just the 8 machine was a little bit too fast for him.
Yeah, I think all those aggressive moves late on those restarts really wore out the tires, really evened them up maybe for Brandon Bowie with John Walker. So he was able to keep pace with him, but just didn't have quite enough there at the end of what he needed to catch up to him. Even if we did go green flag racing, I really don't think that 4 had much for him here at the end. But you got to think for John Walker, a couple guys early in the race that were leading this thing and really showing to be the cars to beat. And you know, he basically outlasted them. They had trouble on the restart, made some contact with each other on the front straightaway off turn number 4. And a couple of the key players out of this one, like the 11 of Tony Monge. And you know, for those guys, it just ended their race obviously a lot earlier than they wanted, but that gave the advantage back to John Walker with getting the pole and being up front, and he was one of those fast guys. He had a top 5 car easily.
White flag this time by, barring any major issues. John Walker going to pace his way to a top split iRacing Class B win. He's got 1 more lap to go under the yellow flag. Tonight's race should come to a conclusion with 19 drivers finishing on the lead lap. We'll be back once this race concludes in a moment. We'll give you a full field rundown when we do return, and we'll talk about a lot more of this race. We'll get you set for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series drivers who are going to take to the track right here at Phoenix International Raceway next Tuesday, 1 week from tonight, beginning at 8:30 Eastern here on RaceSpotTV. So plenty more to come tonight, but it looks like John Walker is going to walk away with the W. He started from pole position, and you hate to have a mistake, and a very costly mistake, and a very easy to correct mistake, take a race away from you, and it looked like that is what was going to cause John Walker to lose this race, but he fights back. He dominates the second half of competition. Checkered flag going to fly alongside the yellow. John Walker going to win tonight's NASCAR Race Night event from Phoenix, picking up the checkered flag.
That's a great win for him, starting on the pole, getting the win, getting him some maximum points, led the most laps. A great job all the way around. Great call on his pit stops. And, you know, we've seen pit road mistakes cost people wins. And tonight, fortunate enough for him that the mistake came early in the race and he was able to get it back and get up to the race lead and never look back from that point on. And some great restarts as well. And a great piece of driving for that 8 machine.
And he'll bring it around for lap 101, and he'll do some burnouts on the front straightaway to celebrate this win. John Walker, the winner of tonight's iRacing Class B Series Top Split event for NASCAR Race Night on RaceSpotTV. He burns it down as tonight's victor will return in a moment to wrap things up from the Jewel in the Desert and get you set for the 3rd race on the 2016 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series schedule coming up next Tuesday night right here on RaceSpotTV. In the meantime, the post-race show from Phoenix coming up will be back in just a moment. Let's take a look at the drivers that walk away tonight up top side. John Walker walking away with the trip to victory lane. Brandon Bowie second. Trent Ringler coming home in third. P4 for Adam Berkeley. And John Micah going to be the drivers that walk away inside of the top 5. P6 Brandon Holder. Alex Bergeron in 7th. 8th position Micah Vandazol. Alex Scribner in 9th. And rounding out your top 10 was Sean Ryan.
11th place tonight on the grid was Chris Fletcher. Ryan Neffinger finished 12th. 13th went to Luke Fenhaus. Ray Doran finished 14th. 15th with the Brad Prochnow. 16th, that went to Keith Vaughn. Elmiro Vieira fell back late in the race. He finishes 17th. 18th with the Patrick Rizzo Jr. Timmy Longwood Jr. will finish 19th. And rounding out the top 20, 3 laps down, that's Jake Hayes.
Also 3 laps down, the number 9 Jeff Mackey Jr. in 21st. And from here on out, the drivers that finished tonight's event back in the garage. 22nd, Chris Jennings. Tony Monge in 23rd, one of the big competitors earlier on. Randall Fox comes home P24. John Ouellette comes home in 25th, P26 for Rich Schwitt. Jay Collins in 27th, the 28th for Malcolm Coleman, Justin Faulkner in 29th, and rounding out tonight's field, Shotgun in 30th, the 26th of Rosemary Townsend. That's a look at your full race results from the Phoenix International Raceway. We step away on RaceSpotTV. We'll be back in a moment. You're watching FansChoice.tv NASCAR Race Night on RaceSpotTV. We're back live at the Phoenix International Raceway for NASCAR Race Night on RaceSpotTV, presented by FansChoice.tv. Tonight's Phoenix main event comes to a close for the NASCAR iRacing Class B Series. John Walker picks up the checkered flag. I want to welcome you back to the RaceSpotTV broadcast booth. Evan Pasoko, Andy Kessler with you. And Andy, a rough night for a lot of guys. There's a lot of big names that were up in the conversation early, inside the top 5, inside of the top 10. They'll walk out of here tonight outside the top 25. A race where I think it's fair to say they saw a lot more yellows than they wanted. There was plenty of action up at the front of the field, and John Walker did a good job holding on at the end there to beat Brandon Bowie.
Yeah, he did. We mentioned that just a moment ago. Just a great job on the restarts, the calls when to come down pit road. We saw that strategy play out quite a bit throughout the race. So in the end, it worked out just right for John Walker. And like you said, a bunch of those guys towards the back of the field and scored laps down outside the top 20. Definitely not what they wanted here tonight, especially some of those fast guys like we talked about, Tony Monge in the 11. He had one of the cars, I think, to beat here tonight. Showed a lot of speed starting third. So tough break for him, but hey, this is what it is, a product of racing, and he'll go back at it and get him again.
We look forward to next Tuesday. Going to be right back here at Phoenix International Raceway for the NASCAR Peak Anniversary Series third round on the 2016 calendar, beginning at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And it's going to be a very different race from what we just saw here, Andy. The biggest difference is those guys are going to be taking on the track in the Gen 6 cars. These Xfinity Series machines, the Chevys, the Fords, and the Toyotas, have much less of an effect on them on the new build than those Cup cars will have. The big notes to take away for the new build that these guys had to deal with, outside of obviously the new tire package, these cars, they had the tire grip a little bit adjusted, and some changes as well to the chassis torsion and some other things, but the Cup car is going to have the low downforce package. That's going to be a huge talking point when it comes next Tuesday.
Oh, it's going to be a huge talking point, and good for these guys that they'll have a week at least to work on these, and I know the servers will be pretty busy with these teams getting ready for that race. And you got to talk about it with the tire wear and with the new, with the, I guess the way the tire or the rubber's laid down on the racetrack, it'll definitely be something that these guys will, have to deal with next week. But that low downforce on these cars, I think, is going to affect a lot of the handling, especially entering the corner. I think you're going to see a lot of guys getting loose, and they're probably going to have to back the corners up a lot. So it should be a fun race to watch, and I really think it's going to put it into the driver's hands a lot more than it already has.
We look forward to seeing you then as we come back on next Tuesday for our coverage of the NASCAR Peak Anniversary Series. It is that series alternates between Tuesdays. You can make sure to join us on the off weeks for that series right here on RaceSpotTV for NASCAR Race Night. However, tonight's coverage now draws to a close. We move forward, and we hope to see you next Tuesday. Thank you again, everybody, for tuning in to this presentation of RaceSpotTV, streaming live on iRacingLive and Fans Choice TV. On behalf of everybody at RaceSpotTV and for the broadcast team tonight, for Director Hugo Louise, for Andy Kessler, and for myself, Evan Pasoko, I want to thank you so much for tuning in and to congratulate John Walker for taking home the checkered flag tonight from Phoenix. We'll see you next week right here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacingLive for the third round of the NASCAR Peak Anniversary Series powered by iRacing from right here in Phoenix, Arizona at the Phoenix International Raceway. Good night. We'll see you then.